Welcome back, and in this video we're going to take a look at creating another 3D part here in Inventor. And you can see with this one it gets a little bit more complicated. The most important part to try to figure out is where you're going to start from. And in this case I'm going to build this L shape that's here. My reasoning behind starting with this is that this is kind of the central point, and if I start with building this part first, the rest of it I can kind of add on and create. So that's going to be my thinking behind creating this. So let's go ahead and jump over to Inventor and get started. Alright, so creating a new part here in Inventor, I'm just going to click on the new icon here. It should bring open a dialog box that's going to allow me to select what type of units I want. And this is a metric part, so I'm underneath the English, US, and then I'll click on metric, and then I'm just going to double click on the standard millimeter IPT. So once I do that, I'm going to give it a little bit and let Inventor loads up for us. So once Inventor is loaded up, let's go ahead and click on the Start 2D Sketch by selecting this icon. And this one I'm going to create on the YZ plane because the front view of this is going to be facing this direction. In this program, that's really not super important, but I always like to try to build it as close to the drawing that I have as I possibly can. So I'll select the YZ plane here, give it a second, it should rotate around, and then I'm going to create that L shape. So I'm just going to start with the line, and I'm going to make sure that this line stays horizontal. I'll click here, I'll go up. This line here, and I'm just going to make an L shape, nothing kind of super special here, but I will make sure that this last part is lined up here and then select my starting point. Alright, then I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of dimensions on this. This one is going to be 70, and the overall height of this one, I'll show you how to figure that out. Okay, so the 70 is easy. That's going to be this number here. The other one, for the height going from down here to up here, is where we're going to do just a little bit of math to figure this out. So I'm trying to figure out how tall is this line. Well, we see the overall height is 120. So that'll get me to this line or to the center, because that's actually the tangent point there. But what I need to figure out is how tall this is. Well, I know that from here to this face here is going to be 60, because 60 is at the bottom going from that face down to that center. So therefore 60 should be from this end point of this edge here going up to that center. But I also need to go ahead and add 20 to it to get down to that bottom face. So the overall height here is going to be 60 plus the 20, which should give me 80. So applying those, I'm going to use a dimension. I'll click here, and this will be my 70 dimension. Kind of zoom back a little bit. I'll go ahead and put the 80 dimension on here. And now I'm going to need a couple of more dimensions, right? So I'm going to need this height, which according to the drawing is 20. And then I'm going to need this distance here, which is 10. Now we're at that point to where I need two more dimensions. Remember, they're always in reference to where this point is here. So I'm going to select this endpoint, or this line actually, to that center point. And I'm going to come here and place that dimension. Once I place it, I'll go ahead and select the 80 dimension and divide it by 2. Zoom back a little bit more, and I'll do the same for my 70 dimension here. So I'm going to select this line and this endpoint, and I'll go ahead and place that dimension. Once I place it, I can select the 70 and divide it by 2. Now it does not matter which edge that you select. So I could have selected this edge to the center line here and then divided it by 70. It would have gave me the exact same number. Likewise, I could have used this top line to that center point and then did the same process with it, and it would have still gave me the 40. Alright, so it is fully constrained. Everything is happy. Let's go ahead and finish sketch. Just going to zoom back a little bit. Let's go ahead and extrude this. And you're going to see that it's going to give me a thickness. The thickness, according to the drawing, is going to be 60. So I'm going to type in 60 here. And I'm also going to make this one symmetric. Since it's my first one, I always like to try to keep my part as symmetric as possible. And I'll go ahead and select OK. Now let's go ahead and create the bottom part here. So I'm just going to select this face, and then I'll select this icon here with the little green plus on it. Once I do that, your part should rotate around. It's going to zoom down here at the bottom. I'll create a circle. And then the distance of that circle, or the radius of it, is going to be 20. So I'll kind of hold off on that just for 1 second here. Let's go ahead and build a rectangle. Actually, I'm going to use a center 2-point rectangle. I'll go ahead and click here and here. Alright, the reason why I'm selecting this center point is because I can keep this center in line with this one. So therefore, I'll go ahead and use the vertical constraint here. And then I'll take a look at the preview, and I see that I do get a vertical dotted line, so I'll select this center point to that center point. Next thing I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and add a coincidence because I want this center to be on this line. So I'll choose coincidence, select this center, and that line there. And then I'll add one more kind of constraint to this, is that I want tangent from that line to that one. So let's select tangent. I select this vertical line, and then select my circle. Alright, so with all of this done, now I'm just going to trim this portion of my circle off. I'll use the trim function, trim off that portion of my circle. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to make this line here construction line, just so I can keep that as part of my sketch, but it's not going to be part of the actual feature. So let's go ahead and escape out of the trim command. Let's go ahead and select this line. And then I can choose construction. Also, you can select this line and do a right click and select the construction option as well. Alright, so now I have this here. I can go ahead and place this midpoint or even this center point in line with this center point. So I'll go ahead and choose vertical again. Choose the center point here and place it onto this center point. Let's go ahead and start putting some dimensions on my shape here. Like I said, the radius on this circle here is 20. So I can use the dimension, select this circle, and then place it here and type in 20. The next thing I need to do is tell it how far it is down. So I can either choose this bottom line here or the top one. The dimensions is actually pulling from this top one, telling me down to this center is going to be 60. So therefore, I'll use this line here and place a dimension down to here. Once I place this dimension, I'll type in 60. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that this line falls on this line. So I'm going to use a collinear constraint. Select this line here and place it on the yellow line. I can see that this is fully constrained, but I'm just going to go ahead and finish this out just a little bit more. I'm going to select my yellow line here and do a right click and then make it construction. Alright, so everything on this sketch is now done. Let's go ahead and hit the finish sketch icon. Go ahead and extrude this one. We need to extrude it back a distance of 20. So I'll type in 20. And then I'll reverse the direction. And then this is where I'm looking on my screen. So anytime you see that red, that means that it's subtracting or cutting from my part. Instead of that, I'm going to make it unite or join it. So I'm going to select this option. And then I'll hit OK. Now you can see that part is created. Let's go ahead and create a sketch up here along the top. Well, what I'm going to do in order to create that one is that I'm going to create a circle on this surface. So I'm going to select this surface, once again the green plus. I'm going to project in this top line by choosing Project Geometry. Select this top line. Go ahead and hit the Escape button. Then go to Circle. And now I'm going to go and find the green point on this line here. Left click on that, and then give it my circle. Now this circle is the same distance as this face up here. So you see that endpoint I have highlighted, I can use that. I'm going to choose the coincidence constraint. I'm going to select my circle, and then I'm going to select that point that's on the line. Okay, so now that I have both of those selected, that's all I'm going to need. Let's go ahead and choose Finish Sketch. And actually, I should have made that line of construction because it will confuse Inventor on this next step. And I shouldn't say confuse, but you're going to have to define which one you're going to do. So I'm going to show you that option, and then I'll come back and make this one construction just so you see the difference. So if I go to the Extrude command, you're going to see it come up, and now it's asking me to select these solids or whatever I want to extrude. So I have to come here and physically select these two solids, right? or these two profiles. So I have to select that profile and that profile. And then it will give me what I need. I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to double click back on the sketch icon here. And just to show you the difference, once I left click on this yellow line, do a right click and choose construction. I'll go back and finish the sketch. Now when I choose extrude, you're going to see that it's going to automatically pick that because it's no longer any confusion into it. Okay, so that's kind of the difference why I make things construction or why not to. Alright, so the overall length of this is going to be 40. And let's jump back to the drawing and kind of explain a little bit of this. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is that the overall drawing has a distance of 25. And then the overall length of this thing is going to be our 40 at the top. So our 40 minus our 25 should give us 15. Alright? So that should be enough for us to figure out how far to extend that back. Okay, so I'm going to take this a distance of 25 one direction, right? But in Inventor, we can also do things, instead of using symmetric, there's an asymmetric option, which is this last icon here. And that's going to allow me to give another direction. So in this case, the other direction will be 15. So our 15 plus our 25 will give me 40. You can see that it's already selected the join, and that's going to be what I need to create this part. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the OK icon. Alright. Next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and place that rib that's located right along this edge. In order to do that effectively is that I'm going to make sure that I select the origin that's going, or the plane that's going right through the middle of this. Looking here at my UCS icon, I see that's going to be the YZ plane, so that's going to be where I'm going to create the sketch. So I'm going to expand the origin. I'll choose the YZ plane, and then I'll choose Start a Sketch on it. You should see that your icon or your screen should go to the side, and now I'm actually sketching on that plane. I'm going to use another command here, which is called Slice Geometry, to get right in the middle of this, right where I'm actually creating that sketch at. And the Slice Geometry or Slice Graphics icon is here. So once I select that, you're going to see that it's going to kind of rough cut my part. Next, let's go ahead and project a couple of lines. So I'm going to go to Project Geometry, and I want this bottom line and this bottom line. Next, I'll create a line from this endpoint to that endpoint. Go and hit Escape. And then I'm going to make these two yellow lines construction lines. So I'll select this one, do a right click, and choose Construction. Likewise with the bottom one. Select the yellow line, right click, Construction. And this is all I'm going to need to do in order to create a rib on this one. So I'll go to Finish Sketch. I'll go to the Rib command. And then I have to define how I want this to behave. So where is my shape, or where is my rib line at? It happens to be right here in the middle. And then I need to tell it which direction to go, either this direction or back toward it. So I'm going to change the direction to here. Now you see that rib is showing up. I'll give it its thickness, which is going to be 10. And then I want to make sure that it is going symmetric. Once you have all that, go ahead and select OK. Let's go ahead and put our holes into this one. So I have a hole on this top face and one on the back face. So let's go to the Hole command. I'm going to select a counterbore option, which is going to be here. And then I'm going to define how I want that to be created. So the overall thickness of my first one out here is going to be 30. The depth of this will be 6. And then the length of this, just send it through everything. So therefore you don't need a distance on the length, but I do need to give it the thickness or the depth of that bottom circle, which is going to be 20. Now in order to place this on my circle, I will select this face, or my shape I should say. And then I'm going to select this body here as my concentric reference. Once that is created, I'm going to hit the OK button. I'm just going to rotate this part around to the back side by selecting this icon here. So right around here, it's going to rotate around. I'll go back to the Hole command. It should repeat the last stuff that you just did, so I'm going to select this face. Then I'm going to select this concentric reference. Go ahead and hit OK. I'm going to rotate my shape back around. And then I'm going to place my circle, or my hole that's going through this face. I'll go back to the Hole command. Now this one does not have a counterbore, So therefore, I'm going to take off the counterbore option. And this one has a diameter of 15 running through it. I'll go ahead and select this face, and then that concentric reference. Go ahead and hit OK. Now let's use the fillet command to kind of finish out some of this other stuff. I see that I have a fillet with a radius of 10 going around here. And then I have some fillets that has a radius of 3 going around the other locations. So let's go ahead and start the fillet command and create that. So I'll go to fillet. I'll start with my radius of 10 first. So I'll select 10. And now the edges that I'm going to select, I need to kind of get up underneath this part. So on my view cube, I'll select here. I'll select that edge there. I'm going to select this icon to rotate to the other side. And then I'm going to select there. So those two are going to be 10. Now instead of ending out the command, I'm going to select this plus icon to add another fillet feature inside of here. This one will be the distance of 3. So once I have 3 here, I'm going to go ahead and select that face there. Let's go ahead and rotate it again by selecting that little corner here. I'll select this face here. I'm going to select this corner. Then I'll get the back face here. Alright, so that's all the faces that I should be needing to fillet. Go ahead and hit OK. Then I'm just going to kind of hit the home button here, and that should rotate me around. So if I had any more areas that I wanted to fillet, I could do that here. I could fillet this face and do some other things here. But that's all I'm going to need to create this part. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this one. It had a lot of different commands on this. We had some ribs and holes and things of that nature. So I hope you're kind of getting a better understanding for some of the things that you can do in Inventor and quickly. If there's anything that you would like to see me create, either in Inventor or AutoCAD, please go ahead and drop a comment down there and let me know. Or if you enjoyed these videos, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and like it or share it and do all that other wonderful stuff. Until next time, I'll see you next time.